Coming up next on Tech News Today, 1 billion iPhones now sold. Also, Microsoft's new AI-driven camera app for iOS is released today. We'll take a look. What is SoundCloud? Really? Let's see if we can figure that out. Facebook and Nintendo had their earnings, and they're very, very different from each other. And finally, what would a Google City actually look like? We'll talk about all that and more up next on Tech News Today.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today, episode 1564, recorded Wednesday, July 27th, 2016. This episode of Tech News Today is brought to you by Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Rocket Mortgage brings the mortgage process into the 21st century with a fast, easy, and completely online process. Check out Rocket Mortgage today at quickenloans.com/TNT.
Welcome to Tech News Today. This is a show where we tell you everything that's happening in technology today. Hi, I'm Megan Morrone.
I'm Jason Howell. That's why we call it Today.
Yeah.
It's because it's about today, not tomorrow or yesterday. Sometimes it's about yesterday because it's kind of late in the day and somebody might listen to it tomorrow, but it's still today right now. It's still now.
Right.
Is, I guess, what I'm saying.
And some days it does feel like it's all the same day, right?
It kind of does. Sometimes it all blurs together. So maybe we should think of a new name. I don't know. Real quick off the top, we talked about Apple's earnings on yesterday's show, but one data point that Tim Cook seemingly left out for that little extravaganza, sometime last week, Apple anyways, sold its billionth iPhone. Tim Cook told employees during a meeting at Apple headquarters this morning, so he saved that impressive piece of news for employees. Why did he save that?
I don't know.
Maybe to get 2 days of news out of it instead of just one?
Right, or to cover up the Facebook news, which we'll talk about later, which, was amazing.
That might be it. Yeah. iPhone debuted in 2007, so not even 10 years old. Billion iPhones. Of course, Android devices surpassed, a billion devices active, however you want to factor that in, a few years ago. But it's a totally different story in the sense that iPhone is a singular brand of devices versus Android phones, which are made by many manufacturers all over. And so I guess it's a different story in that regard. But that's that.
Yeah. That is that.
That is. All right, moving on. Families will finally have the ability to share apps, movies, and TV shows purchased within Google Play on their Android devices and beyond with its new Google Play Family Library feature. The feature is rolling out today. Once a family manager is set up, that person can then select a default payment method for purchases made by the family that are kind of in this service, and then select users that are included inside the family account. Family Manager has controls over how purchases are made by others, including an option to make an approval process for every purchase that's made. Also, content can be specifically marked for sharing or not by users. So if you have certain movies, or say you collect comic books and no one else cares about comics, you can just keep that for yourself and share the other things that anyone else cares about. And users can choose to pay with their own payment methods, which would keep those purchases from being shared inside the family plan and kind of keep those things to themselves. And it's all free. What do you think?
I think it's great that you have this thing that we've had on our iCloud family
I knew
sharing.
that was coming.
I know. Well, you had to slip in the Android sold more than 1 billion devices a while ago. I'm just kidding. It's not a competition. I think this is great.
Well, but it is, Megan. It is.
I love family sharing. It's great. But you tried to get it this morning and you didn't get it yet, or was it rolling out and you got it?
Yeah, no. Actually, I had to do something that didn't make a whole lot of sense in order to finally get it. But yes, I did try and click through the link, and I got a little error message that said, you are not able to do this, but no context around it whatsoever.
Like it said you're not a real dad or something?
Yeah, basically we've used our artificial intelligence to estimate that you are not a dad. But what I had to do is go through something that is actually not a part of this at all. If you go into Play Music, which is Google's music service, they've had a family plan and Play Music for a few months now. It costs $15 a month, and that allows you to share your music libraries, with everyone else. I'm not a member of that, so I've never gone through the process. But if you go into the Play Music app and initiate that process, the first thing that happens within there is setting up your family account. And then once you get to the end of that, then it says, all right, now let's set up your family plan for Play Music at $15 a month. So I went through there just to set up the account. That got me in, and then I still didn't sign up for the Play Music plan, so it wasn't like I was locked into the $15 a month. So there's a way to get in if you're getting that error message, I guess is what I'm saying. But I'll definitely do it because I do have a family, and it would be nice to share these things. We have lots of devices floating around the house, so it would be nice to be able to do this.
It's only for 6 people, so don't have 3 more kids, or
that
else
won't
you
happen.
can't do it. Okay.
We're done. We're done. Four's totally fine.
Okay.
Not 4 kids. 4 total.
4 total is
I'm
good.
cool
Okay.
with that.
Okay. Just,
All right.
yeah. If your wife asks, just like, oh, that's too many for the Google Play family plan. Sorry.
Yeah. If there was no other reason, which there are, then the Google family plan was probably the big one. Yeah.
All right, well, moving on. Today, Microsoft launched a new camera app that wants you to use it instead of the built-in camera on your iPhone. Microsoft Pics is it's free in the App Store. It claims to use AI to enhance your photos. It automatically detects faces, automatically keeps only the best images from your burst mode photos, and even creates a looping video of sequential shots like Apple's Live Photos or Google Photos. It sounds like a great alternative, but you won't right now be able to replace it as your default camera to use the shortcut. So I really wonder if people are going to use it no matter how great it is. I used it a little bit. It's great. Like I posted a comparison shot on Twitter a picture I took of Leo doing Windows Weekly, and yeah, it looks nicer. I took a few of the burst photo shots and picked out the nicest one. That's nice because I always take the bursts and then you have all the bursts and you're left
that's the
to
worst. Yes.
keep, figure out which one is best, and it does that for you. So that's nice too.
Right. So apparently when you take a photo, it's taking around 10 photos within a half second. Then it presents for you. I don't know. I haven't used it. You've used it, so correct me if I'm wrong. It presents the best option from those. And what it's doing, it's looking for things like this is where the AI comes in. Are there any eyes that are shut in the photo? Is there motion blur happening? Things like that. And it can analyze all these images, throw out the things that don't matter, and then what's remaining, present what it thinks is the best. And do you think that it's presenting solid pics from there?
I think so, yeah. And that eyes closed thing, that'll get you, especially, with a family of 5. When we take family pictures, it's impossible to get one where, where everyone's eyes are open. So, yeah, I like it. But like I said, I'm so often taking a photo where I just swipe up in the lock screen. That's how it works. And you don't have to open your phone or anything. And there's the camera. And I use that shortcut to take picture. It's like something's happening. I want to take a picture of it really fast.
Right.
But this is, another app that you have to open separately, which can be a pain.
That's a challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something, talking about kind of the iOS versus Android thing is something that I've just grown to be very accustomed to, is the customization that you can get out of Android to set a default app. And I don't know. I hope that someday Apple will let you do that, because it's definitely a usability issue, I have to imagine. Not being an iOS user, I don't know how iOS users feel about that sort of thing, but there are other options. I'm sure it would be nice to have the ability to set that so that you can, reap the benefits of what this is doing.
I think that's called an Android phone.
Yes. Well, maybe we should mention real quick, start teasing the fact that at some time in the near future, I don't know when this is going to happen.
Well, we were going to wait for Marshmallow to come out.
Okay, we're going to wait for Marshmallow to come out, and Megan and I we're gonna do the other platform test.
Switcheroo. I'm going to spend a week with Android. You're going to spend a week with an iPhone.
Which will be interesting because I have Android shows that I have to do. I don't know how I do this, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah, and I have iOS today as well. But we'll see.
Okay.
We're not actually giving up our own phones. We should say that. I'm not handing over Mr. Pink, as I like to call my iPhone 6S.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, whatever. Never mind.
But we will use some other phone that's. We talked to Leo about it. He wants to give us both something that will the high end.
Right.
So we're given the best of the alternate operating system.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too.
Because I feel like I'm always saying on this show, man, iOS, I feel so clueless about it, because I just haven't had a whole lot of direct everyday access to it. So that'll be a good experiment to see the good and the bad.
Wait, so Marshmallow's already out. Are we waiting for nougat?
No. Sorry. Yeah, no, it's not marshmallow. What Leo was talking. Yeah, sorry, that flew past me. Nougat, or as many people are correcting me, nougat, because that's how you're supposed to say it. Do you know that? It's supposed to be nougat.
That's
even
how
though
Google says
Snickers called it nougat.
Does Google say nougat?
I don't know. I
I'm
don't
not
think
saying
they
nougat.
do. I think in the U.S.
I
we say
won't.
nougat, but in the UK people are like, I get emails for All About Android where they're like, you're saying it wrong. We say nougat. And that just feels wrong to me.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that.
All right. But you
I'm
will
just gonna-
use a phone with
yeah,
it.
I'm going to call it marshmallow because that's
All right.
easier.
That works. Good correction, though. Big difference between waiting for marshmallow that's already out versus waiting for nougat. SoundCloud is a music service that many people simply don't seem to understand. Is it a traditional streaming service? Is it like YouTube for audio? What the heck is it? At one point, a few years back, Twitter considered buying the company, but ultimately they passed on that, according to sources. Well, last month, Twitter Ventures returned to invest around $70 million into the company, into SoundCloud. And now, multiple sources say the owners of SoundCloud are considering an exit to the tune of $1 billion. All they really have to do is find a buyer, which could be difficult, especially considering the fact that Twitter, the Twitter investment valued the company at around $700 million. I don't know. I feel like this is a big challenge because SoundCloud, I personally, as a musician and a music lover, I love what SoundCloud has been for so long. But I really feel like in the grand scheme of music streaming services, like they just launched SoundCloud Go in April, $10 a month streaming service. Everybody has one of those. It just seems very irrelevant in comparison and totally not part of the dialogue at all. So I don't know what their chances are of this.
It's sad because it really is the only platform that creators can just easily upload their music, right? And then have it there alongside other music that is popular music, right?
Well, I mean, you can do that. Like I could do that with Play Music. I mean, it's different though. Like the services are a little different. Play Music, you can upload. You have to go through a whole thing. SoundCloud almost felt, at least initially, kind of like a social network geared towards people who wanted to share audio files. You know what I mean? Kind of like the way YouTube began. And so you can share that type of stuff on services like Play Music and have it integrated into just the normal music library. But I don't know. SoundCloud, it's kind of confusing. Like people, I feel like sometimes you talk to someone about SoundCloud and they're like, okay, well, what is it? What exactly, why do I need to use SoundCloud? I think a lot of people don't know why they do, except if you're a total enthusiast. You know, they have 110 million, 110 million songs that they offer for free right now, you know, that you can get access to anyways. Like with SoundCloud Go, they were basically touting 125 million songs. Well, 110 million of those are uploaded by its users and accessible for free anyways. So there really isn't a whole lot there, and I think people just get confused about it.
So do you go there for any kind of general music, like popular music?
No. I don't think of it as a service like that. And I think what SoundCloud's been trying to do is kind of reposition itself so that it is that. But its music library is not as good as the others when you're looking at it strictly as like a place to find Kanye or whatever. You may or may not find it there. You're less likely to find those bigger name artists there than you are in other places like Spotify and Apple Music and stuff. So I think that kind of hurts it. The number I was looking for was 175 million users. That's where they're at right now. But they're all kind of, a lot of them are enthusiasts. And I don't know if that's enough to drive the service.
Right. And there's lots of podcasts on there too. So, I mean, those could, you know, I don't know.
Yeah.
Lots of other places to also find podcasts.
Sure.
Well, if you don't want to shell out the big bucks for a MacBook Air, I have an answer for you. If you like Windows 10, you can get yourself a Mi Notebook Air for only $750. That's less than the price of a high-end iPhone, and of course, less than the MacBook Air. It's also fast and light. The 13.3-inch laptop is allegedly gaming-ready with an NVIDIA GeForce 940MX discrete graphics card, and it weighs only 2.8 pounds, which is lighter than the MacBook Air. It also comes in a 12.5-inch screen version. At the same event, Xiaomi also announced the Redmi Pro, a dual rear camera OLED phone. So, yeah. Would you get yourself a MacBook Air? You said you were looking for a new laptop. I mean, a Notebook Air.
A notebook. It's easy to do, right?
It is, yeah.
It's named closely to MacBook Air. It looks in some ways very similar to MacBook Air, which is, you know, Xiaomi's kind of known for this, right?
Yeah.
Or at least people kind of hold them to task for borrowing heavily from the design of other successful companies. Everyone does that a little bit. Xiaomi comes under that, under that criticism frequently, and it definitely kind of holds to it with this. But I don't know. It's a nice looking laptop. It's Windows 10, like we were talking before the show. I'm starting to get to the point where I feel like I maybe need to replace my Chromebook Pixel for various reasons. Would I consider replacing this with the Notebook Air? I don't know. I guess I'd consider it because the price is pretty darn good, as most of Xiaomi devices are.
It's not even that much cheaper. Like, I mean, a MacBook Air is $900. So, I mean, it's not that much cheaper, but I guess it's supposed to be faster. I'm not a gamer, but I was talking to Scott Johnson earlier on Daily Tech News Show, and he said this is not a gaming laptop, even though they're pushing it at it.
Sure.
It's not that fast. So
I mean, you can run games on it. You can. So therefore, it's a gaming laptop.
Yeah.
Yay.
But yeah, I mean, it's only available in China now, August 2nd. They're also going to sell stickers for the back, so no one would know what it was if you just put a giant sticker on the back. You could pretend like it was a MacBook Air.
But I have a sticker on the back.
You could put that sticker on the back of, and it could look.
No one would know that this Chromebook Pixel is a MacBook Air because I've got a sticker on it. Wait a minute. So basically what they're saying is ours looks so much like a MacBook Air that when you put a sticker on it, it's going to be even that much more shadowed in uncertainty for people to confuse it.
I think what they were touting that as a special feature, but the black doesn't have this, the back doesn't have this stinky old Apple on it. It has nothing on it, and then you can cover it with your own personality.
I see. I guess you could still do that.
Or you could put an Apple sticker on it.
Right. Or something over the Apple sticker if you want to hide the Apple sticker on your Apple laptop. Hey, we've got options. Stickers exist.
We do.
And the Redmi Pro, I'm curious, just as an Android enthusiast, to get my hands on that. Xiaomi is really good at this kind of low-cost approach, but making hardware that still kind of holds up to a lot of the competition. They're really great at that. The one downside to this phone is that it's running a MediaTek chipset underneath, and any of my experience with MediaTek chipsets has been less than flattering, I suppose. So, but they have to cut costs somehow with their components inside to get the price point that they're known for. So I suppose I understand it, but it's got like a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, 4,050. So it's a battery beast, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
Up next, we take a step into our time machine and look into the past with that thing called earnings. But first, let's take a minute to thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans, the sponsor of this episode. One thing that I know is more enjoyable than earnings calls is all the paperwork needed to process a mortgage, collecting the little pieces of details needed to process it, compiling that enjoyable stack of paperwork, finally getting the chance to put that red swing line stapler to use. Of course, I'm joking because that kind of stuff might make some people happy. It doesn't make me very happy. I'd rather sit through an earnings call, actually. How about this instead? Rocket Mortgage brings the mortgage approval process into the 21st century. It's fast, powerful, and completely online. Rocket Mortgage has taken all the complicated, time-consuming parts of applying for a mortgage and kind of removing that from the equation. If you hate searching through those stacks of old paperwork, files, all that kind of stuff to find the details you need, with Rocket Mortgage, you can actually do this easily. You can share your bank statements and pay stubs at the touch of a button. That's going to help you get approved in minutes for a custom mortgage solution that's literally being tailored to your unique financial situation. And even better, with Rocket Mortgage, you can do all of this with your phone or with your tablet. It's a quick online process that you can manage from the convenience of your couch. You can even be in your pajamas. They aren't going to judge. So if you're looking to refinance your mortgage or buy a home, check out Rocket Mortgage today. It's quickenloans.com/TNT, quickenloans.com/TNT, equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org, number 3030. And we thank Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans for their support. All right, it's must-see earnings TV this week, and the next mega tech superstar to report their earnings is Facebook. Did that work to totally spruce it up?
Yeah, that's a good spruce up voice.
Okay, Facebook earnings. What can I say except that they destroyed once again? They beat estimates resoundingly with a profit of 97 cents per share on $6.44 billion in revenue for the quarter. That's 15 cents more than analysts had predicted, almost $500 million more in revenue that was predicted. Facebook's also generating more money per user than was expected at $30.82 per user, 22 cents higher than estimates. So basically, they beat all around. Kurt Wagner at Recode points out that this quarter is generally a light advertising season. Yet, in light of that, Facebook bucked the trend by generating more money, more dollars per user. And that's basically because advertiser demand is so high. So Facebook's kind of killing it right now.
They're totally killing it. Daily active users were 1.13 billion on average for June. That's
every day,
daily,
no big deal.
Daily active users. I mean, to get your mind around that, like they mostly talk about monthly active users, but daily 1.3 billion people go to Facebook. That's crazy.
17%. That number is 17% higher than this time last year. So they are still, rapidly growing. And yeah, I mean, Facebook has a lot of ad dollars to kind of hopefully help when that growth slows down. With advertisers being so happy to get on board right now, that's great. That's increasing their kind of cash pile and all that kind of stuff. Stock is up 6% in after hours trading. And I don't know, this was an interesting quarter for Facebook, right? Like they still did so well. There were a lot of, there were some negatives, right? There was the news suppression story that we talked about a couple of months ago that had some people, at least a little bit worried as far as the effect. But they had a lot of really good things happening. They had the Facebook Live, kind of the events that have kind of shown the benefits of Live, and Zuckerberg really doubling down on video with the service. They've changed the prioritization of the news feed to kind of focus on friends and family and away from advertisers, which is interesting that advertisers still want to be so involved, because in some sense, Facebook is actively like de-emphasizing that.
Well, it was away from company pages, not advertising. Got it. It's a little bit disturbing when you think about it. Like when you think about 1.3 billion people every day going to Facebook and having their personal information advertised on. We're supported by advertising. Obviously, like it's there. I'm not anti-advertising, but when you really absorb that fact, it's something to think about when we're headed that way. Because if you think, I don't know, I've been trying to move a little bit away from Facebook. Like I feel like it sucks me in and takes me away from my real life, and that sometimes doesn't feel so good. So I don't know, and it doesn't really I don't notice the ads, but they're there. But I think that is, so it's they want people to share more personal stuff, because that's why people go back to it, not to say like, oh, that person liked the New York Times website, or that person liked the Zappos website, that sort of thing. That's like, they want, your births, your life, your everyday thoughts, everything that they can gather and advertise upon. It's a little disconcerting.
Yeah. But that goes for the internet just in general, right? Like it's the same for Google. It's the same for all these other companies. All they want is for you to use their product as much as possible, because it's a free product. And so that's encouraging to you as a user to use it more, but that just means that they make their money in other ways like that.
Yes,
like
but yes, exactly. So, it really has become the core social network, I think, for people, because you think about Snapchat is being used more and more. Younger people use it. They use it for life casting, but everyone seems to go back to Facebook. And even in developing countries, there's, Mark Zuckerberg pointed to this, there's Facebook Lite, a easier version to get on when you don't have a lot of, internet access. So yeah, it's everywhere all the time. And it's a force to be reckoned with.
And you can't escape it. That's actually kind of the challenging part when I think about Facebook, right? Like you're talking about kind of peeling back a little bit. And I've kind of gone through that myself recently too. And what I end up finding, and what totally plays to Facebook's strength, is that being that it's probably the longest, most successful social network we have right now, and that there's just an insane amount of users on it, that even when you try to step away, like on one hand, you're saving yourself the grief of, the headaches, the worries of what we were talking about just a few minutes ago. But on the other hand, what you're also doing is detaching from the people that you've now experienced years of communicating with in that platform.
Right.
So it's almost like there's this level of of Facebook guilt that's associated with peeling away. On one hand, my life might be better if I don't have Facebook that is constantly pulling me away from other things. On the other hand, I end up losing touch with all the people that I care about. So where does that leave me? What do I do now? I guess I write a letter.
Yes.
And mail it in the mail.
Write a letter. Yes. Yeah. Well, moving on. Nintendo also posted earnings today. They posted a net loss of $233 million for the latest quarter. Sales of the Wii U and the 3DS are not looking so good. Plus, the company announced that the Pokemon Go wearable, known as Pokemon Go Plus, has been delayed. Hold on to your pants, people, until September. It was supposed to come out this month. As we told you earlier this week, Nintendo came out ahead of earnings to announce that there would be limited windfall from the success of Pokemon Go, and they'd already factored this into their projected earnings. So, yeah, it's not looking great for Nintendo. I think that the NX that we talked about yesterday, they didn't talk about that at all, but that might turn things around. They might come out with more games. You know, I talked, Lauren Hawkinson said there's going to be an Animal Crossing that might be something along the same lines as the phenomenon of Pokemon Go. So just as people start to get bored of that, which apparently they have not, then maybe they can move on to something else. But yeah, not looking great.
Yeah, from what I was reading, Pokemon Go really isn't reflected much here, like any sort of gains that Nintendo would make, and they'll probably make some gains, right? Like they invested 30% into the Pokemon Go project, and if there's money to be made there, then I don't know if it's 30% or 30.
They get 13%.
Was it 13%?
Yes.
So there's something there. I don't know how monumental that'll be, but for this particular quarter, mobile IP licensing, that sort of stuff, only accounted for 1.65 billion yen, which is basically $15.5 million in revenue. You know, and things like Animal Crossing, Fire Emblem, these kind of mobile efforts, I don't know. I just get a good feeling about that being a good direction for Nintendo. Not to mention NX, they've got their mini NES console, which might be a small bump. I don't think that's the kind of thing that fixes a company like Nintendo necessarily, but that's good for the holiday season. They have challenges, right? Like another thing that they blamed was the appreciating yen, so which basically the exchange losses totaled around 35 billion yen, which is about $330 million just in the exchange of that alone. So they had a lot of challenges.
They did, yeah. And I think, it's hard to say what the success of Pokemon Go, a lot of it has to be attributed to the nostalgia factor. The fact that people in their late 20s, early 30s, really this was the game of their youth. And this is a segment of the population that has a lot of disposable income, a lot of time, a lot of like social media power to make something like this viral. Yeah, and so, if there are other Nintendo properties that hold the same, joy for other, segments of the population, I think that this could happen again.
I feel like there can be. I feel like there is. I think one very strong part of Nintendo's, strategy in the past, or one thing that's worked really well, is that they have pretty strong brands inside of their gaming. For example, Mario, those Zelda, those types of brands just existing on a platform can make a big difference in how they earn or in what they earn. Not to mention the systems that they're doing and everything. They keep going with this strategy of like rolling out a system that maybe isn't as high powered as, let's say, for example, the NX being a lower powered console in comparison to something like the Xbox One or the PS4 or whatever. But they have that IP to back it up so that they can say, we've got this thing and it does so much, but we're going to be bringing a new Zelda and you're going to want to play it. And there's a certain percentage of people that you're talking about specifically that are like, yes, sign me up on board. So if they bring that to mobile, I think that's a really, really good extra way to go, I suppose.
Right. With the augmented reality portion of it.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see if their takeaway is we need to do more augmented reality, because I would love to see it. I don't know. Is that a one-trick pony?
I don't think so. No, I think that's definitely part of it. Yeah. I think they should do like a Beanie Babies augmented reality.
No, not the Beanie Babies. Don't bring
the same generation, I think.
Probably it is. It is, but I'm not ready for that to come back.
All right.
But that's just me. I'm sure we're going to hear from some adamant fans of Beanie Babies. TNT at twit.tv. We got an email from William Hugh Murray. He's a security professional who actually served on a NIST advisory panel years ago, similar to the one that we spoke about yesterday, that proposed to reject SMS as a delivery mechanism for two-factor authentication codes in its published standards. William first pointed out the fact that truly strong authentication is at the very least two-factor, but not all two-factor authentication could be considered truly strong. William takes the NIST to task for not pushing the issue even further. He says, NIST's recommendation is too broad. It flies in the face of Courtney's first law. Nothing useful can be said about the security of a mechanism except in the context of a specific application and environment. For most applications and environments, strong authentication using SMS is orders of magnitude stronger than passwords, while being only marginally less secure than a software OTP generator running on the same device as the application, but much more convenient than a separate dedicated hardware OTP generator. In many applications, the difference in convenience may trump the difference in communication. Note that the Google implementation supports multiple methods and leaves the choice to the user. This is Google's recognition that, at least for the moment, we need to make strong authentication sufficiently convenient to get the user off exclusive reliance on replayable passwords. So basically, in other words, he's saying Google's stepping its users into the world of more advanced security, but by giving multiple options to protect the users from themselves, like me, still creating a system that is inherently less secure than it really should be. And that's what the NIST advisory panel should really be pushing for. It's kind of his point. And that's a really good point. I think you got to start somewhere, though. And I appreciate that they're at least peeling it back as they are. But excellent point. Thank you for that email, William. Really appreciate it. TNT@twit.tv if you want to voice your opinion on anything we talk about.
And TNT's fan of the day is the Fat Vegan Chef on Twitter, who also sent us a video. He says, on my new Vizio 50-inch P-Series TV.
Oh, yeah.
A little short video that he posted on Twitter. Thank you.
See? It's a TV. It's proof it's a TV.
It's a nice
moving.
TV.
Yeah, this is the one that had the little tablet that came with it. I think they showed it off at CES earlier this year. It had the little detachable Android tablet that was kind of also a media control center, but you could kind of bring your media on there. I think he said that was a little less than, it was kind of or at least some of the reviews that I read on it was that it was a neat extra, but not necessary when compared to just the fact that the TV is really nice. So,
well, show us how you watch or listen to TNT. Just record a video, take a picture of yourself or your setup, post it on Instagram, Google+, Twitter, or Facebook. Use the hashtag HowIWatchTNT. We will find it.
All right, so yesterday we chatted a bit about Facebook's proposal to build housing to offset the impact of big tech in Silicon Valley. Today, Tech Insider has a piece exploring the idea of news from a few months back that a division of Alphabet called Sidewalk Labs was looking into buying land surrounding certain cities to create its own googly cities, meccas for high-tech living. What could a Google city look like, considering the many projects and efforts that it's currently investing its time and money into? That's kind of what the Tech Insider piece was all about. I just thought it was kind of interesting to envision this world where everything googly surrounds you. I feel like in some ways we're moving towards this world in one way or another.
I like the pictures that we're looking at because nobody has eyes. That's the Google world that I would like. Everyone looks like a cartoon. Nobody has eyes. And yes, it's all self-driving cars, which I want, as we have all talked about. I want only self-driving cars, no people, no humans, no more humans driving. That's what I would like.
So, so this would be a world where there is nothing but self-driving cars on the road. Maybe not a world, but a city.
So we don't need eyes, right?
Exactly. No, but we might need glasses.
Right.
Actually, we do need
glasses.
eyes because all of the billboards and advertisements that surround us will be tailored to our own interests because we'll be tracked throughout the city. And
well, couldn't they just shoot it into our brains and we didn't need eyes?
maybe someday.
Okay.
You got to start somewhere, though.
I'm looking for an eye-free world. Just our screens.
I want my eyes. I don't want a future where I don't have eyes. That's kind of scary to me. Blanketed by public Wi-Fi and hotspot sharing. They've had some interactions with Link NYC in New York doing that sort of thing. I don't know. Anything else jump out at you?
Where does my iPhone fit into this Google city?
That's a really good question. They didn't address that. But, Google's kind of cross-platform. So I think your iPhone would be
true.
accepted.
It's true. Yeah, I use Google Photos. I use Gmail. I use Google Sheets. Yeah, and bikes that talk to cars, that would be nice too.
That would be nice because if you got to have humans, transporting themselves outside of the autonomous vehicles that are mostly made up of ride-sharing fleets, then you might as well have the bicycles communicating to the cars so that they don't actually end up running into the bikes. Facial recognition for heightened security. This, of course, coming from Google Photos, which already does this. Maybe not live, but this is the future we're talking about.
So we guessed 2020 for the first self-driving cars on the road. What do you guess for the Google City? 2020. I say 2043.
Okay. I'll undershoot it. I'll say 2035.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it.
And we'll totally check back in on this.
Yes.
In 2035 to find out I'm wrong, and then in 2043 to find out you're right.
Yeah. All right.
All right, let's do that. TNT records live every Monday through Friday, not every Wednesday through Friday, at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. UTC at twit.tv/live. You can be a part of the show by emailing us at tnt@twit.tv. You can also leave us a short voicemail at 260-TNT-SHOW and hit us up on Twitter. We're at Tech News Today TV.
And you can find all the ways to subscribe to our show at twit.tv/TNT. Tell your friends to subscribe. Send them all there. Send everyone you know there. And if you want to tweet at me, I'm at Megan Morrone.
And I'm at Jason Howell. Thanks to our technical director, Kara Cole. Thanks to Bert for running the words on the screen. And thanks to you for talking tech with us today. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye, everybody.